12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Tuesday, July the 15th, 2025, and it is program number 1409 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, of course, in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can also get us at our website, rcisaintlucia.com, and we are streaming live on Facebook. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please be sure to like and share that as well with your friends and family. And if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also reach us via our WhatsApp number. And that is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings for today going out to Mr. Miguel Favre. Happy birthday to you, Miguel, and we do hope that you're having a very wonderful birthday celebration. We also want to send birthday greetings out to Miss Jaren Williams. Happy birthday to you, and we're hoping that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Also to Mr. Richard Spooner, happy birthday to you, sir, and we do wish you the very best of birthdays. And also to Miss Adele Charles, happy birthday to you and wishing you a wonderful, wonderful birthday. Now look back in time. In the year 1099 on this day, the city of Jerusalem was captured and plundered by Christian forces during the First Crusade. In the year 1381 on this day, a gentleman by the name of John Ball, who was a leader in the Peasants' Revolt in England, was hanged, drawn, and quartered in the presence of the king at the time, Richard II. The year 1410 saw the Battle of Grunwald, one of the medieval Europe's largest battles, and that was during the Polish-Lithuanian Teutonic War, and it saw the Polish king Władysław Jagiello and Lithuanian Grand Duke Vytautas defeating Teutonic Ulrich von Eugeningen. In the year 1799 on this day, the Rosetta Stone was found in the Egyptian village of Rosetta by a French captain, Pierre-François Bouchard, during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign. And in 1955 on this day, 18 Nobel laureates signed the Mainau Declaration against nuclear weapons, later co-signed by 34 more Nobel laureates. We now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. There's all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
Well, welcome back to our program for today. And it apparently is never a dull moment in our neck of the woods. And certainly yesterday was not a very good day for many across the English-speaking Caribbean in the West Indies. Of course, the result coming out of Sabina, out of Kingston, Jamaica, where the West Indies was playing its third test against Australia in the series. Well, they posted one of the lowest test totals ever in an innings, and that's, I think, second lowest in the world, being bowled out for a mere 27 runs. And of course, that has caused quite a concern. I mean, there has been concern over West Indies cricket for some time, and many, of course, still look back to the glory days of the 70s, maybe the 80s, under the captaincies of Clive Lloyd, under the captaincies of gentlemen like Viv Richards, of course. Look back into the eras of Garfield Sobers, even if you want to go further back. And certainly, we are far way away from those glory days. The West Indies, in fact, has been criticized, of course, for not paying sufficient attention to its test cricket. And if there was ever a need for confirmation of that reality, perhaps they certainly got it yesterday. And of course, as a result of that, lots of derogatory terms being used out there, lots of individuals calling for resignations, and the team being redubbed the West Indies, of course, by some. And the action at this point seems to be trying to bring together some of the old guard to look at what in fact can be done. And according to Sky Sports, West Indies 27 all out. Brian Lara, Sir Clive Lloyd, Sir Viv Richards to join emergency meeting after defeat to Australia. And that story reads as follows. West Indies posted the second lowest total in Test history when bowled out for 27 by Australia in Jamaica, a result that clinched a 3-0 series sweep for the visitors. And of course it goes on to talk about this. West Indies cricket chiefs have called an emergency meeting that will include former greats Sir Viv Richards, Sir Clive Lloyd, and Brian Lara, following their humiliating third test defeat to Australia, which saw them bowled out for 27. Chasing 204 for victory in Jamaica, the West Indies' second innings lasted just 14.3 overs as they were dismissed for the second lowest total in Test history, only just surpassing New Zealand's 26 against England from 1955. The West Indies' previous historic low was 47 against England in 2004. The embarrassing collapse, Mitchell Starc taking 6 for 9, taking the fastest 5-wicket haul in Test history, and Scott Boland 3 for 2, claiming a hat-trick, wrapped up a 3-0 series for Australia. It prompted a statement from Cricket West Indies President Kishore Shallow on Tuesday, which said, quote, "As an immediate step, I have advised the chair of the Cricket Strategy and Officiating Committee to convene an emergency meeting to review the recent test series against Australia, particularly the final match." And the article continues to say, to strengthen the discussions, I have extended invitations to 3 of our greatest batsmen ever, Sir Clive Lloyd, Sir Viv Richards, and Brian Lara. They will join past greats Shivnarine Chandapal, Desmond Haynes, and Ian Bradshaw, who already serve on the committee. Shallow's statement added, quote, "This engagement is not ceremonial. These are men who helped define our golden eras. Their perspectives will be invaluable as we shape the next phase of our cricket development. We intend for this gathering to result in tangible, actionable recommendations." Shallow acknowledged that the series result and especially the final match, would lead to many sleepless nights ahead for fans and players, but urged patience as they continue to rebuild the team. While disappointment is natural, we must not allow this moment to define our journey, he said. Quote, "We are in a rebuilding phase, steadily investing in the next generation and reigniting the spirit that has long made West Indies cricket a force in the world. The road ahead will test us, but I have faith in the talent and commitment of our players when they apply themselves." West Indies were once the leading lights of cricket in the 1970s and 1980s, but they have since gone through a period of decline and currently rank 8th of 12 teams in the world rankings. They have struggled to field a consistent test team in recent years, with several players often prioritizing lucrative franchise cricket over the longest format. They next face India in a 2-test tour of the subcontinent in October. And as I said, that story coming from Sky Sports. And for those of you who may have missed that innings of 27, if we were just to look at the scores coming out of that, you were seeing Campbell gone for naught, the first ball. Lewis, he scored 4 runs. Anderson also taken out LBW by Stark for naught. King bowled, clean bowled by Stark. Again, another duck. Chase went for duck as well. This time being caught. Hope was able to he managed 2 runs from his 2 balls, but was LBW, like before wicket, to the bowling of Stark. Greaves was the top scorer. Stayed almost the longest, 24 balls, and made 11 runs, but was eventually caught by Webster to the bowling of Boland. You saw Alzari Joseph staying the longest, 28 balls, but only 4 runs there. Was the man left standing. Then, of course, Joseph also went for naught, Warrican for naught, Seals for naught. And that was the sum total of that 27, that breakdown of the 27 run innings of West Indies cricket. So certainly not a very good situation as it stands, and a call now for a significant review of where things are at with respect to the team and with respect to West Indies cricket on a whole, and the way forward in this regard, and how, in fact, to prevent, well, I'm not sure that you can prevent anything far worse than this. It's pretty difficult to get very much worse. So it really is almost starting from the bottom up. And so let's hope that we can, in fact, see a meaningful turnaround in terms of the performance of the West Indies team. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not even just the team, but the West Indies cricket as an institution, as a whole, certainly is facing some very cloudy days, very unfortunate days at this point. And will we, in fact, be able to recognize and see and figure out what is going to be necessary to ensure better discipline, better support for the team by players, and that, of course, is going to no doubt be a pretty important next step to ensure that we can, in fact, see not just reasonable performance at the level of T20, but really to be able to ensure that players can sufficiently zone in on all forms of the game, but and certainly those who have the aptitude for the longer form certainly should be able to see that as being vitally important as well. So let's see how that all pans out. That's our dish of the day. And when we come back, we'll take in some calls, and as well, we will also share that article from yesterday, which we promised to do.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Did all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Ugozile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to our program right here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Now, of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also call in via WhatsApp. That number is 724-0008. Now, yesterday, of course, we mentioned the decision by the St. Lucia Labour Party to formally indicate that there are two new candidates that will be vying on their behalf for the constituencies of Castries South East and VA4 South, respectively, in the persons of Senator Lisa Jawahir, currently as well, of course, no stranger to the program. She's been here many times as the SLP's communications director, and she will be vying for that seat, presumably, of course, against the deputy leader of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Guy Joseph. And in the case of VA4 South, of course, the individual who was serving in that position for a good number of years, Dr. Kenny Anthony, former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, in fact, bowing out of elective politics, at least for the time being. You never know. We saw John Compton come back, was it after 80, and in fact got back into the politics of St. Lucia. So we never know, but at least certainly indicating his desire to retire from politics, and of course, therefore, creating an opportunity for a new candidate to emerge in the case of VA4 South. And that, in fact, has been announced, and the individual selected Mr. Danny Butcher, one of four potential candidates who went through a selection process by the St. Lucia Labour Party. Now, Mr. Butcher, in fact, today also posted on his Facebook page a note regarding this matter. Of course, as was mentioned yesterday in the release by the St. Lucia Labour Party, Mr. Butcher has been a teacher, and so in this post, he shared publicly the following, quote, "I wish to officially inform the public that effective Monday, July 14, 2025, I tendered my resignation from the teaching service following my endorsement as the St. Lucia Labour Party's candidate for the constituency of VA4 South. This decision was made in full accordance with the staff orders governing public service, which require resignation upon acceptance of candidacy for elective office. I remain fully committed to upholding the principles of transparency, integrity, and good governance. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity I was given to serve as an educator. The experience of shaping young minds, mentoring students, and working alongside dedicated colleagues has been one of the most enriching chapters of my life. I carry with me the values and lessons of that journey as I now step into a new path of public service. This resignation marks not an end, but a continuation of service, this time as a candidate and, God willing, as the next Member of Parliament for VA4 South. I take this next step with humility, purpose, and a deep love for the people of our community. Together, let us build a stronger, safer, and more resilient VA4 South. And that message coming from the Facebook page of Mr. Danny Butcher, who is now the endorsed candidate of the St. Lucia Labour Party for the constituency of VA4 South. And of course, if you've been under a rock for the past couple of years, you would note that currently the St. Lucia Labour Party holds 13 of the island's 17 seats, and 2 additional seats are held by independents, those being Castries North and Castries Central. Those independents aligned to the ruling St. Lucia Labour Party, and in fact serve in the ministry of Philip Pierre as ministers. And as well, the other 2 seats, of course, held by the opposition United Workers' Party, the seat of Miku South being for the leader of the opposition, Mr. Alan Shastney, and also Mr. Bradley Felix. So that is the current state of play. Effectively 15 against 2. And of course, whenever that next election will be called, those seats would no doubt be up for grabs. And it'll be very interesting to see how, of course, that all pans out, as politics is never tending to be too dull here in St. Lucia. And so we will certainly be looking to see the outcomes there. Now, of course, the matter of candidate selection can be sometimes pretty loud. It could be contentious in some instances. In some instances, we've seen candidates who are not, or prospective candidates who are not selected by a party or the other. Sometimes they decide to become independent. They run that seat as an independent. We've seen that happen, and of course those 3-way races can be pretty difficult for that party who the individual was interested in running for in the first instance. We have seen, of course, as well, the matters of candidate selection playing out on television with people calling in off and on and indicating that you were not selected for a particular candidacy. So it can be certainly very contentious and not always the liking of one group or the other. And of course, it certainly is quite often a test of how these parties can keep their support base. And of course, sometimes it can be a real question as to where do you place your allegiance. Many people sometimes they will support a particular candidate because that individual might be a personal friend. That individual may have had some sort of connection with that person, maybe a work connection, maybe a community connection, and so sometimes you see those as reasons why people end up supporting one candidate or the other. Sometimes individuals feel indebted to certain candidates because they have impacted their lives positively. They've assisted their families, And so you find that there's a lot of support towards that individual, or they may have supported an individual's family. And we've seen this play out in many instances where we see, for example, in the case of the Denry Miku area, we saw how John Compton was able to solidify a tremendous amount of loyalty amongst the ordinary person, not because he lived in the constituency, but in fact because of assistance he may have given to various individuals over the time that he was serving in that area. Of course, politics has changed, and people's votes and voting patterns are perhaps a lot more fluid than before, and individuals may very well be more astute in terms of trying to figure out where to provide support, and whether in fact they necessarily identify with the principles, values, and policies that various candidates in fact espouse. And so, although sometimes, of course, we do know that individuals look to the candidate, they are sometimes also looking to the greater picture. What is the candidate? What does the candidate stand for? What is the candidate representing? That is sometimes a pretty important consideration. We also know that sometimes people vote for, not necessarily for a candidate, but they vote for a party. And because they identify with the party. And so in some instances, as with the case, for example, of the an alliance is of towards a certain party, I should also say, because if we notice the situation with respect to Castries North and Castries Central, the ruling St. Lucia Labour Party did not field candidates of their own in the last general election. Instead, they seemingly threw their support behind the independent candidates, who were themselves formerly United Workers' Party candidates, but of course decided to move away from that political party. So sometimes individuals may be voting for a party, but may not even be voting for the party's representative, but simply voting against the other party. And we've heard that quite a lot too, that we seemingly have become a populace within which the electorate seems to vote out one side or another, and not necessarily looking to positively support the another side. But if they don't seemingly like certain policies or certain actions, they may seemingly have almost their revenge in the polls. And we've seen quite a bit of that, one could say, especially when one considers how we've been moving from one party in power to the next, and we've been seeing this shift happening pretty consistently since 2006, when we saw a return of the United Workers' Party to the polls, and to the government. And of course, since then, we saw 11-6, 11-6, 11-6 situation from 2006, 2011, 2016. And it was only last election in 2021 where we saw, at least in terms of the seat count, a more significant shift in terms of a 15-2 vote, effectively only 2 seats being held by the opposition United Workers' Party. Of course, they are facing a pretty difficult and uphill battle, given the fact that they effectively now have to be able to form a government, they would have to add 7 seats in this situation. which of course, and within this political map, it is also a situation where they have since lost stronghold seats, traditionally stronghold seats. In particular, of course, I'm speaking of that seat in Micoud North, which for the first time ever, in fact, went to the St. Lucia Labour Party. And it would be very, very difficult in terms of the electoral map for a United Workers' Party victory without somehow winning that seat of Micoud North. So certainly very interesting politics and political considerations ahead in respect of the general election, whenever that may be called. Now, I do believe we're supposed to take in our weather report at this time. So I've actually been a little over time for the weather, so we're going to take it in right now.
Prepare yourself for the wildest, craziest, Valval blow on sale in Island Stars history. We're going absolutely wild with up to 60% off on ceramic and porcelain tiles. All Ruby Tools, Genesis tile strips, feeler, cleaners, and sealers. Select natural stone and travertine are 15% off with 12% off on PVC ceiling tiles. Get a whooping 50% off on all low stock. Our chipped-edge tiles starts at $1 on our luxury brand. Bathtubs, vanities, toilets, faucets, and bathroom accessories are priced to go. Hurry down to our showroom at Cash Trees, Rodney Bay, and View Falls, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. Valval value like mad at Island Style Tile and Bath.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
So of course it's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours, winds will be blowing from the east near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. The weather partly cloudy to cloudy skies with scattered showers. The forecast for the Los Angeles, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with scattered showers and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. And the tropical weather outlook, cloudiness and showers associated with a tropical wave are currently affecting the Los Angeles. This wave is moving westward near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. Also, another tropical wave located a few hundred miles east of the Los Angeles is moving westward near 23 miles per hour or 37 kilometers per hour. This system is expected to begin affecting the Los Angeles from Wednesday into Thursday. The Atlantic high pressure system will maintain light to moderate easterly winds across the Eastern Caribbean region during the next few days. And this has been your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Prepare yourself for the wildest, craziest, Valval blow on sale in Island Stars history. We're going absolutely wild with up to 60% off on ceramic and porcelain tiles. All Ruby Tools, Genesis tile strips, feeler, cleaners, and sealers. Select natural stone and travertine are 15% off with 12% off on PVC ceiling tiles. Get a whooping 50% off on all low stock. Our chipped-edge tiles starts at $1 on our luxury brand. Bathtubs, vanities, toilets, faucets, and bathroom accessories are priced to go. Hurry down to our showroom at Cash Trees, Rodney Bay, and View Falls, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. Valval value like mad at Island Style Tile and Bath.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Now, as I indicated, we do want to share that story, which was, well, it's an article written by Mr. Raheem Joseph Augustine, and it's entitled In Defense of CARICOM. But before we get to that, I think we'll just take in a few calls. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today? How are you doing, sir? Sorry, I didn't hear something about Jamaica. Well, I guess we'll have to see what comes out of this meeting of this committee that was mentioned by the WICB president, and to see what kind of decisions, what kind of actions are going to be taken, whether we're going to be seeing some axing of individuals, whether we're going to be seeing some new approaches. So we'd have to wait and see. Yes, that is correct. That is correct, and of course, no doubt there would have to be some accounting as to what went wrong and what needs to change there, and whether there's a need for new management. There'll be a lot of considerations, no doubt, being brought in at this point to see how things can. Yeah, and we'll have to ask as to how that is going to be, whether there's a need for a test cricket manager, as to whether there's a need for how the whole matter of West Indies cricket is structured is going to have to be looked at, in my view, as well, because you could potentially have, good aptitudes for one area of the game, maybe not necessarily for the other. I don't know. We'll have to wait, I guess, to see how the leadership of this committee and of course the board takes the matter forward. We've seen many efforts in the past where even leaders of the various islands, of various countries, territories have gotten involved in the matter of West Indies cricket. Are we going to see that again in this instance? I don't know. Is this a time when we could even afford any kind of political involvement? We'll have to wait and see. Tourist boats, like cruise ships? Yes. Yes, some of them do, certainly. Yes. Sorry? Okay, I didn't hear the last part of what you just said. Well, I don't know whether these boats have that type of those plants, but yes, a number of them, in fact, do take on they do take on water here in Saint Lucia, and it's I'm not too sure how much they take on board, but you're right. It must be a pretty large number. We could try to do a quick look at it. Because per person, I mean, you might want to estimate somewhere around 80, maybe 80 liters of water per day. So you could probably work it out. I mean, and some of these boats do carry up to like 6,000 passengers, passengers and crew. So you could be quite possibly talking about, a lot of, and if you're at sea for, let's say you want to have 3 days supply of water, so maybe that's almost 500,000 gallons that you may be speaking of. Yeah, I don't know. Right. So I'm not sure exactly how many would be taking on water. But again, it really does depend on, I guess, the availability to some degree. But then, yes, that it is in fact a pretty lucrative. From a WASCO perspective, I'm sure it's pretty important. Sorry? Well, I'm not sure. Well, Norbe, I can well understand why, but I'm not sure that the issue would be the cruise vessels, because right now, for example, we're in the low season. We hardly have any cruise vessels coming in, and certainly not any large vessels. And so the issue may be something completely different. The Yeah, okay. Thanks very much for that caller. Like I said, I seriously doubt that the challenge right now has anything to do with vessels coming into port. If you might have been saying this was somewhere around January, yes, I would say yes. I could understand maybe to some degree the usage would be higher there, but still, compared to the overall production, I think it might be not so great. But thanks very much for that, caller. Have a good one. Take care. Yeah, in terms of I think we still have him on. Yeah, okay, thanks. Right, of course, the number to call and tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. Part of the challenge, of course, with respect to water is whether you are towards the end of the line. And you could be towards the end of the line, not necessarily from a horizontal sense or in terms of distance away from the plant, but also in terms of elevation. And persons in high elevations would be challenged to be able to, for the water to be able to get to your elevation, especially if the system has been closed off. It will take a while to effectively be re-energized. You've got to be, pumping water through this, and pressure has got to build up over time, and it sometimes takes a while before you can actually get it up to a particular elevation. So that is part of the challenge, especially in communities like Norbe. There are many others, of course. Mornier might be another example. Although in the case of Mornier, and of course it depends on what part, but I believe to some degree they may also be served from the Hill 20 system, which is separate from the main Roseau Dam Fibbles treatment plant system. So you are finding that you will have challenges in high elevation areas. Some parts of Montsepa, for example, where I think they're currently trying to put in or planning on putting in some larger pipes to be able to assist in that regard. It is going to be challenging, no doubt. But the water situation on a whole for us, we certainly have to be thinking into the long term. And the bigger challenge, one might say, is the matter of expansion of hotel plants, right? So, especially if you're dealing with luxury properties, that the amount of water in a luxury property can increase considerably, because whereas maybe you may have one shared pool in a 2-star hotel, when you get to the point where you're dealing with many of these luxury properties, not only do you have the shared pool and massive pools at that, but you're also talking about plunge pools. Each room may have a pool, so the water use is generally increasing, and of course you're speaking about greater use in terms of cleaning, in terms of laundries, the kitchen, so you speak about luxury, more kitchens, right? More restaurants means more kitchens, means more cleaning. So it is certainly a part of that challenge that we're dealing with in terms of water utilization, especially at the in terms of the tourism sector, whereas maybe the average person in a maybe a low-income household might maybe use 30 gallons of water, 40 gallons of water per person per day. Once you start talking about these types of hotels, luxury hotels, you might be speaking about 10 times that amount of water sometimes. So those types of pressures can really ramp up very quickly in terms of the water supply. And given the fact that when that system was designed, the John Compton Dam was designed to have, I think, about 700 million gallons of water in terms of total storage, and that was supposed to have been able to provide, I think, up to about a 45-day supply of water in the event that you had a significant drought. And of course, there are many other things that have to go into that calculation, including, the fact that you're losing water via evaporation. You can't necessarily take out all the water in the dam, depending on the height of your intakes, and so you are, of course, eventually they designed a system really to be able to handle about 10 million gallons per day. Now, we are probably already at that use, that demand in the north of the island. So it therefore means that we also need to be thinking about, well, how are we going to tackle this situation with respect to water? There are a lot of other approaches that are being looked at. One, of course, is trying to reduce on the losses. What is a term that is known as non-revenue water that is taken from the dam, sent to the treatment plant, treated, and then sent along the line, but never reaches the destination because of leaks along the line at different points, right? So that, of course, is a challenge, and especially when you have older pipes, it certainly compounds the problem. We also have a situation where a lot of our pipes are running under roads, and that in itself is challenging when you've got a lot of weight massing on those roads, heavy goods vehicles. Sometimes have damage done. So you've got a lot of issues with respect to the overall system of getting water out there, and trying to reduce on all of those types of leakages also means that you've got to put more money into maintenance and more resources into being able to replace those pipes and equipment. So it is certainly a pretty dicey circumstance when it comes to water, and I don't think anybody really wants to pay the true price of the cost to be able to get water to our homes. And so that balancing act is pretty difficult, one would say, when it comes to how to move forward with respect to that particular utility, but a utility that is very important for our economic survival, for our lives in totality, of course, depend on water. And if we are going to be seeing heading into the future, the other big question is, how can we do more with less? How can we even use less water? And so on the other end of it as well, are there ways that the average household can try to reduce on its demand from the utility by generating its own sources of water? And of course, we've been there in the past. We've done that in some places where some properties have their own cisterns. They collect their own water from the roofs, from their properties. They do their own treatment, and they have effectively a supply of water for emergencies. Still may be connected to the network, but you still have water that can be utilized for other purposes, especially in the case of non-drinking water. Are there possibilities of being able to use that water, rainwater harvesting, more effectively here in St. Lucia? In many islands like ours, they definitely depend very heavily on the matter of rainwater harvesting. The Leeward Islands, of course, definitely is the case as well. Islands like Bermuda, with their very famous roofs, which are designed specifically to be able to capture as much rainwater as possible. It's the norm. And so that aspect as well has to be also thought of. I think we've seen a tremendous amount of effort in terms of more households having their own water storage. I think most households have realized that it is important that they can have some form of water storage, given the realities of where we live. But in many instances, though, we do know that in some places you've got to know where you live. And some places may, in fact, need more water storage than others, depending on your own reliability, the reliability of the system in your area. So it is a very difficult consideration. Now, in some places, this is why some countries don't even encourage people to live in certain places, because of the challenge of getting water to certain areas. And here we're very lax about that. People build pretty much wherever they want, and sometimes the water is an afterthought. And there are, in fact, developments that have exist here in St. Lucia where individuals have bought properties and there is actually no water system. There's no network in place to be able to actually provide water. And sometimes you see very creative actions being taken by the individuals who've gone into those kind of subdivisions where they in fact have to use rainwater harvesting in some instances. In others, they've got to run their own lines. And so it is not the ideal situation where a lot of people get themselves into. And of course, it means that you've got to be careful in where you buy property and ensuring that, in fact, there is a proper water supply already existing, and ideally with storage as well, to be able to serve that subdivision. Now, I think we're a little over time already, so we will be back again tomorrow, God willing, for another program here at the Lunchroom, and we do hope that you can join us for that. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., saying goodbye.